Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And you can see I'm back on my main computer today, so I should be able to see all the digits clearly. There's going to be no excuses. And we've got a puzzle by Edward Lebeau to have a look at, which has a very cool rule set. I've not seen this before, so it's an original idea, and the testing reports are interesting on this puzzle. Everyone says it's a very good puzzle. Some people say it's quite easy. Some people say it's most certainly not. So we shall see what we shall see. Before I read out the rules, a quick mention obviously of our Kickstarter campaign. It's going great guns. It's quite incredible. We're closing in on $80,000 at the moment, which will unlock the stretch goal of having a dedicated website for the book. And we've been talking about what the new stretch goals might be if we do reach 80,000, and one of them in particular, I'm telling you, is incredible. So if you haven't checked it out yet, do have a look at it. We really are very proud of the way this book is shaping up. The support from the compilers has been incredible. We've already had several new puzzles sent to us by the world's greatest constructors. I mean, this is undoubtedly going to be the best Sudoku book there has ever been. And yeah, it's all thanks to you guys. So anyway, do check it out. I'll put a card on the screen there, right there. Now, what are the rules of this puzzle? It's called All or Nothing Killer Sudoku. And we've got normal Sudoku rules apply and normal killer Sudoku rules apply. So that means in cages, those 4 squares, for example, have to add up to 24 without repeating a digit. Now, here's the tricky bit. Additionally, each killer cage contains either all of the digits in its sum or none of them. And this rule applies even to cages whose sum is not given. And you can see there are some cages in the grid dotted around where the sum is not given. But I think what this is saying is if we look at this 16 clue, for example, either this cage includes a 1 and a 6, because of the 16 sum here, or it includes neither a 1 nor a 6. It cannot just have a 1 in it and no 6, and it cannot just have a 6 in it and no 1. So it's a weird rule, and sounds brilliant. I'm looking forward to trying this. Do have a go yourselves. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video, and with that, let's get cracking and see how we do. Every cage in this grid, by the way, is 4 cells large, look, which is quite weird. So maybe I'll look at the big cage first, 27. So 27 here, we're saying if it has a 2 in it, it has to have or to put it a different way actually, if it has a 7 in it, it has to have a 2 in it, which is impossible. It can't have a 2 in it with a 7, because that would mean the other 2 cells would have to add up to 18. Oh, that's bizarre though. That is bizarre. In fact, it doesn't matter. You can't. Yeah, look, you can't ever put a 2 in a 20-something cage, because the algebra will break. If you, what's the way to look at this? Look at this 26 cage. Now, if we think that there might be a 6 in this cage, let's put the 6 there. What do these 3 cells have to add up to? Well, they obviously have to add up to 20. Just as if I put a 7 in this cage, those 3 squares have to add up to 20. The problem here is that once you've got a 6 in the cage, and once you've got a 7 in this cage, you have to put a 2 in it. And now those 2 cells will always have to add up to 18, which is always impossible. You can't put 2 9s in the same cage. So yeah, anything of the form 2x is not going to work, because by definition you've then got to put x in the cage, which means you always end up having to make 3 cells add up to 20 exactly, where one of those cells is a 2. So ergo, we can say there's no 7 in here for sure. Now, if there's no 7 in there, that strikes me as tricky. Yeah, okay, it is tricky. There's only one way that cage will work. We've got to make it absolutely maximal with the digits that are available. So we've got to put 9, 8. Then the other 2 squares have to add up to 10 without using 1, 9, 2, 8, or 3, 7. So we've got to have 4, 6, 8, 9. Now probably what we need to do now is to look for the other 20 cages. Let's look at this one. So again, this can't have a 6 in it. So it's clearly got to have a 9 in it. It's probably got to have an 8 in it. If there's no 8 in here, it would be 9, 7, 5, which only adds up to 21. Then you'd have to repeat the 5. Right, so there's a 9 and an 8 in here. Ah, yeah, okay, this is very cool. This is 9 and 8, which is 17. So the other two cells have to add up to 9, but we can't use 1, 8, or we'll repeat the 8. We can't use 3, 6, or we'll use a 6, and we know we can't use a 6 because we can't use a 2 and a 6, and we can't use 2, 7 because for exactly the same reason. So this has to be 4, 5, 8, 9. Which means this square has to be a 6, and we are off and running with a digit. Should we carry on with the 20 clues? Oh, yeah, yes, we will actually. Yes, we will, because look, we've got a 20 clue here and a 20 clue here. Well, we know you can't put a 2 in a 20 clue. So that's a 2. Now the 16 clue might be interesting. If this doesn't have a 1 in it, then what's the minimum we could include in it? If it hasn't got a 1 in it, it hasn't got a 2 in it, we know that. So it would be 3, 4, 5, and then we can't use 6, so we'd have to use 7. 3, 4, 5 and 7 add up to 19, which is a lot more than 16. So this does have a 1 in it, which means it has a 6 in it. Which means we know the order, because now once it's got a 1 and a 6 in it, the other two cells add to 9 without using 1, 8, 2, 7 or 3, 6. So they've got to be 1, 4, 5 and 6. There's no 4 here. Therefore this is a 4. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look, 4, 6 here. So that rules 4 and 6 out of those squares, which makes these a 4, 6 pair. These two squares are 3 and 7 to complete the box. Look, we can do some geometry on row 3. We've got a 21 cage plus another 19 there. Now we know that adds up to... Okay, that adds up to 40. Now I know that the row altogether will add up to 45 because it will include all of the digits from 1 to 9. What do we get if we add all the digits from 1 to 9? I know I say this a lot, but we always are picking up new subscribers who might not know these techniques, and 1 to 9 add up to 45. So if I know these cells add up to 45, but these 7 cells add up to 40, those squares have got to add up to 5 without using a 2. So they've got to be 1 and 4. These squares have got to add up to 15. Don't really see that as restricted. But maybe this... Yeah, we've got 18 here plus another 10, so that's 28. So these 3 squares have got to add up to 17 to make 45 in row 1. Aha! Aha! So, is it possible that the 1 and that the 18 cage here doesn't have a 1 and an 8 in it? Well, if it doesn't have a 1 and an 8 in it, these 3 squares would have to include a 1 and an 8 in 2 of them. But we know all 3 of them add to 17. So the only way that will work is if we go 1, 8 and another 8, which breaks the rules of Sudoku. You can't put 2 8s in the same row. So this does have a 1 and an 8 in it, which means that square is a 5. That's a 1. These two now have to add up to, was it 17? Yes, 12. These have to add up to 12 without using 4, 8 or 5, 7. So these are 3, 9. But those two have to add up to 15. So that's 9. That's 3. This is 6. These two must be 2 and 7 to complete. Yeah, that's adding up to 18. That's good. That's not got a 1 in it because of the 1 down here. 3. Where does 3 go? It's got to go there by Sudoku. These squares have got to be 5, 6 and 7 by Sudoku. Therefore, there's no 7 at the top. and 9 can't go there. We've got this unlabeled cage here. Oh, so what have we got? We've got 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. There's no 9 in those squares. And no 4. Okay, so look. The 9 and the 4 in box 2 mean there must be a 4 and a 9 in this cage. 4, 7. Okay. So that's very cool. Because now we've got to be very careful. We must not make this cage add up to 20 something, including a 2. Because we know if it includes a 2, it cannot work from our 2x logic. So, how do we do that? Given we know it's got a 9 and a 4 in it, how do I select 2 more digits? Well, let me put it a different way. If one of those digits is a 2, you can see that 9 plus 4 plus 2 is 15, and the only digits I've got left to pick from are 5 and 8, which will take me definitely to a total that has a 2 at the start of it. So you cannot have a 2 in those squares. It's impossible. And now 4, 5, let's just check this now. So we've now got what's that? 22, 26. This adds to 26, and you can see that none of those digits is a 2 or a 6. So that now is working. That gets rid of the 2 here. This is a 7, 8, so this is a 5. Get rid of the 5 from there. Get rid of the 8 from here, and we're cooking with gas here. We're doing very nicely. Well, we're doing very nicely in the first 3 rows. We're not doing very well beneath that. 23. Yeah, okay, let's use our 2 trick again. We know that anything of the form 2x cannot have a 2 in it, and therefore it cannot have its other digit either. So this has not got a 2 or a 3 in it. So where do 2 and 3 go in column 9? Well, they're the only places. So this is 7, 8 or 9. Must include a 7 at the bottom there. So this is either 15 or 16. Oh, this is very beautiful as well. Look, this domino, if this is adding up to 15, this domino has to add up to 8. But it can't use 1, 7. It can't use 2, 6 or 3, 5, because if it has a 2 or a 3 in it, it must have the other digit as well, and we break the logic we've already talked about. So this is definitely not 7, 8. This must be 7, 9, which means this is 8, this is 9. These 2 squares have got to add up to 7 without using 2, 5 or 3, 4. So they are 1 and 6. Which means that's a 6, that's a 4. 4 must live in one of those squares. 1 must live in one of these squares. 9 must live in one of these squares. Oh, very cool. 9 can't go there. If 9 goes here, we have a paradox. You mustn't have a paradox in Sudoku solving, because we know these 3 squares have to add up to 7 now. And so we know there must be a 1. This must be 1, 2 and 4 to complete this box. But the moment there's a 1 in the box, there must be a 6 in the box as well. So this has to be at the same time as it has to be 1, 2, 4. It has to be 1, 6, 0. Well, it can't be 1, 6, 0, obviously. And it also, therefore, can't be 1, 2, 4. So this can't be 9. So 9 must go... 9 can't go there because there's a 9 in the row. So 9 goes here. And... okay. Maybe the 16 clue. So if the 16 clue doesn't include a 1, it therefore doesn't include a 1, 4 or 6. So it would have to be 2, 3, 5, 7 which is wrong. 2, 3, 5 and 7 add up to 17, not 16. So this does have, this does have a 1 and a 6 in it. It's got a 1 and a 6 in it. The other two cells have got to add up to 9 without being 1, 8, 4, 5 or 3, 6. So they are 1, 2, 6, 7. So that's not 2 or 6, look, because of the 2, 6 up there. Well, where does 3 go in the central box? It's not in any of those squares, so it must be, in fact, it must be in one of those 2 squares because of the 3 here. So this is a 2, this is a 3. And is that helpful? Sorry, there must be something. Well, I say there must be something. I was about to, 2. Yeah, 2's. 2's has got to go there by Sudoku. These 3 squares have therefore got to be 4, 5 and 8 to complete box 9. That means this square, 1, 3 or 7, which is completely useless. Oh, bother. We can get, look, there's a 5 and an 8 in this quadruple. So where do 5 and 8 go in this box? They must go in those 2 squares. So this square must be 1, 3 or 7 as well. It can't be 1. 3, 7 pair here. No good. 2, 5 here. Well, 25 here. We know that this cage can't contain a 2 or a 5, so it can't contain a 5 there. So this is a 4 or an 8. Three, maybe? 3. Can this 25 cage have a 3 in it? If it's got... that's beautiful. No, it can't. Look, if this has a 3 in it, the other 3 cells would have to add to 22. But there couldn't be a 5 in the cage, so it would have to be 6, 7, 9. But that square can't be a 6, 7 or a 9. So there cannot be a 3 in this cage. So that means where does 3 go in box 8? It's got to go in one of those 2 cells. So it's got to go, so 3's in this 24 cage now. Which means what? It means that if there's no 9 in the 24 cage, it would have to be 6, 7, 8, 3. Is there anything wrong with that? The answer is... oh, no, there's nothing wrong with that. So, okay. Okay, well that's a little bit interesting. So, 8763 works. Now, if, on the other hand, there is a 9 in the 24 cage, we'd have 3 and 9 in it, which add to 12. So the other 2 cells would have to add to 12 without using a 4. So it would have to be 5, 7. So there is always a 7 in this cage. Always. So this has got 10 in it, and it needs 14 more. So it's either got 5 and 9 or 6 and 8. Oh dear. That is very annoying. So what exactly am I meant to do now? Has anyone got any ideas? Telepathy, please. It's very sad to read of the death of James Randi the other day. I don't think he would have approved of me asking for telepathy. 18, is that important? The 18 cage can't have a 3 in it. So if it has 1 and 8, if it's got 1 and 8 in it, the other two cells would have to add up to 9. So they could be 2, they could be 2, 7. Oh, only just. That could be a 2, and then that would have to be a 7. That works. Or it could be 1, 8, 4, 5. And I can see nothing restricting that. If there's no 1, 8, if this is not 1, 8, then it can't contain 1, 8, or 3. So it would have to be 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 7. That does add up to 18. Bother. No, that is interesting for a different reason. The fact that 3 can't go in the 18 cage means 6 can't go in the 18 cage. Because if we have 1 and 8 in the cage, the other two cells add to 9, but we're not allowed to use 3, so we're not allowed to use 6. If there's no 1, 8 in here, the only way of getting to 18 is 2, 4, 5, and 7, which also you'll see doesn't have a 6 in it. So there is no 6 in here, so there is definitely, where does 6 go in row 9? It's got to go in one of these two squares. Now, does that matter? Maybe that matters for this cage. Yeah, this cage is seriously restricted now, because not only can it not have 2 or 5 in it, it can't have 3 or 6 in it either. So if it doesn't have a 9 in it, how would we get to 25? We can put 8s and 7s into it, that's fine. Yeah, that's interesting. You can put an 8 and a 7 into it, but the other two cells would have to add to 10 without using 6, 3, 2. So you could only do that with a 1 and a 9. So this does have a 9 in it for certain. Where does the 9 go? It goes in one of those two cells. So we can... Well, we get almost nothing from that, but it's got a 9 in it. Surely it must have an 8 in it. If it doesn't have an 8 in it, what would it be? It would be 9, 7. Can't have a 5 in it. 9, 7. You can't get high enough. It's impossible. Because the best you'd do is 9, 7, and 4, and that's nowhere near enough. You then have to add a 5 in again, and there's no possibility of having a 5. So it has got an 8. So it's 9, 8. Yeah, okay, so it's got to be 9, 8, 7, 1, because we can't use 3 and 6. So this is... look, this is 9, 8, 7, 1. That's the only way it works, and that square cannot be a 4, therefore. This is an 8. This is a 1, 7, 9 triple, and that might be the crit... That's not 9. That might be the step we need. Is it? 1, 7, 9 triple here means there's no 7 there. So there's a 7 in one of these two, which means no 7 here. 1, 7, 9 triple also means this can't be a 1. So this is a 6. This is a 1. This is not a 1. That's beautiful. So now we look a 1 into the bottom of the 18 cage. Once there's a 1 in the cage, there must be an 8 in the cage. That must go down here because of this 8. So this is either 1, 8 and 2, 7, in which case the 2 would have to go there, and this would have to be 1, 7, 8. Or it's 1, 8 and 4, 5, which... it could be by the looks of things. That is disappointing. So this row, look, we've got 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these squares have got to be 2, 3, 4, or 5. But there's no 2 in this 24 cage. And there's no 3 here. And there's no 5 here, look, because of the 5 up there. So this is a 2 or a 4. Oh, not only is there no 2 in here, there's no 4 in here either. So this is 3, 5. So this... Oh, this is beautiful. Sorry, once this is 3, 5, you can't put a 4 or a 5 in here. So let's get rid of the 4 and the 5. That forces the 2, and all of a sudden, yes, we've got a 1, 7, 8 triple. We're going again. 9, 7, 1, 9, 7. No 7 here. This 1 is fixing the 1 and the 4 at the top. The 7 is fixing the 7 and the 8 at the top. That can't be 4, look, because of this 4 here. That can't be 5. This has got to be 6. It's the only thing it can be. This can't be 1. That can't be 7. There's so much being eliminated. I'm sure I'm missing all sorts of things. Where does 6 go? It's got to go there in the bottom row. These 2 squares have got to be what? Don't know. 3, 4 or 5. That can't be 4. This has got to be 3, 4 or 5. Actually, let's look at those squares. That can't be 7. So where does 7 go in this cage? In fact, look, there's all sorts of things we can do with the 24 cage. Once we've got 8 there, these have to add to 16. This can't be a 7 because of the 1, 7, 8 triple. So we know that's 7 and 9. Therefore, this is not 9. Seven, look, is forced into one of... In fact, is 7 just forced into this square? I think it is, which means that's a 1, that's a 2. This is a 4. This is a 3, 5 pair, so this is a 4, this is a 5. So these 2 squares are 2 and 8, which we can do. 2, 8 go into the grid. 3, 5. Come on, keep going. 7 can't go here. Oh, bobbins, I'm going to dry up here, aren't I? It was all going so well. 3, 5 and 8 into this square. Ah, that can't be 5 though, because of the 5 there. That one can't be 1. Ah, maybe we look at this cage. So this adds to 14 plus whatever I put into those squares. So I've got to make sure that whatever I put into these squares, either everything is included. So if this is 3, this will be 7. That will add up to 24. That will work because 24, obviously, there's no 2 or no 4 in this cage. If this is 8, we get 2 more options. So we either get 8 and 3. 8 and 3 doesn't work because then this adds to 25. It would have a 5 in it, but not a 2, so that doesn't work. If this is 8 and 7, oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because then that adds to 29. There's a 9 in the cage, but no 2. So this is never 8. This is always 3. This is 7. This is 3. The 3 and the 7 get resolved at the top. This square is a 4, 5 pair here. 9. That means that's 8. That's 5. That's 3. This square should be something, a 1, I think. 1 goes in one of those 2 squares. This can't be 8 or 9 now. So in fact, in this row, look, what have we... Oh, we've got to put a 2 in this row. There's a 2 there. So this is 2. This is 1. This 2 gives me the 2 and the 1 at the top. That means that should be a 1. This is an 8. This is a 7. 5, 6 pairs. So this is a 7. These 2 squares have got to be 4 and 6. Yeah, they have to be 4 and 6, but there's a 4 already in this cage, so that has to be 6. This has to be 4. This has to be 6 by Sudoku. That gives us the 6 and the 5. That can't be 4. This has got to be 8 or 9. This 8 gives me the 4 up here again. Whoops. And must be close to cracking it. 4, 5 and 8. Oh no. I think that can be anything. 4, 5, 8. Oh no, look, that's a naked single because there's a 4 and an 8 in the cage already. This is 5. Oh, that's beautiful. So that's going to be quite helpful, isn't it? Yeah, that gets me all of those done. This 5 gives me the 5 and the 3. These squares have got to be, there must be a 3 in one of them. Oh, look, we get a deadly pattern. And this cage? This cage, okay. So we've got 11. Oh, that's really clever. That's really clever. Look, if this is an 8, it's not an 8 for the reasons I shall explain. If this is an 8, this cage now adds up to 19. But there's a 1 in it. So if there's a 1 in it, there must be a 9 in it, and there isn't. So it can't be that. Whereas if this is a 9, this cage now adds up to 20, and neither 2 or 0 appear in the cage. So that works. So I think we end up here. We click check, and we have done it. Beautiful puzzle. That is really clever. Really clever. And some of it was really tricky as well. The stuff with the 3s at the bottom was very hard to understand. But I might have made a meal of it. Let me know in the comments. I always read them. And thank you for watching. And we'll be back soon, of course, with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.